dangerous.
Bad feeling about this.
You don't seem to understand something.
The thing that I like most about being a dad is that I see that I'm about to impact the world. What's up? It's your boy Humble Dad back with another edition of Humble Dad Podcast. Gonna be a great show this evening. Why? Because I said so. We're gonna be talking about selective men, and it can be taken a couple different ways, but I'll explain it throughout the course of the particular episode. We have some individuals that provide a really dope perspective every time we get on the mic and hit the stage, and hopefully you can utilize the things that we say to actually help you in your everyday adventure as it relates to building your relationship or building your marriages, right? And so our question that we're going to talk about first is going to be, what was your first job? What was your first job? And we're going to bring to the stage none other than Miss Ash. What's up, homie?
Hello, what's up, everybody? My first job that I actually got paid from was McDonald's, the actual legal W-2. I had the famous McDonald's because I babysit before. So, you know, hey, give me that little quick cash. I ain't got to worry about no taxes, no Medicare, and all that stuff. That was my actual first job, but the actual legal McDonald's like everybody else.
So what age were you when you did that?
I would say I was 16,
Oh, okay.
17.
Okay, right at the working age.
Oh, yeah. I had to get it. I don't like the word no. Hint, hint, why I stay working. I hate the word no. That's like a cuss word.
Okay, that's a bit. Hey, here we go. Welcome to the stage, Lost in Translation.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. How was the birthday?
It was actually pretty good, man. Celebrated 51 years on this earth, man. I'm doing all right.
Bro. That's what's up. What you got on the question?
Listen, man, my first hustle was cutting grass at 9 years old, but my first W-2 came from rallies, man. You know what I'm saying? I think I was about 16 years old, man, working the grill, bro.
Rallies?
Exactly.
What
rallies.
is
That's
rallies?
like Checkers. That's like Checkers, man.
A burger joint.
Burger joint.
Did you eat? Did you have like all you could eat when you was
there?
No.
They're gonna throw us out, man. we can't be eating up the profits, bro. You know what I'm saying? But we got 50% off though, 15 minutes to eat it, yo. So
dang,
that's about it.
Oh, okay. That's what's up. Hey, I appreciate you being here as usual, man. And glad you had a great birthday.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Welcome to the stage, Miss Taken.
Hey, my first job was getting on my parents' nerves. But a job that I actually got paid for.
Yeah.
Was I was a junior camp counselor at 14.
What kind of camp was it?
A summer camp. Just in the city, to get the kids off the, out the street while parents and stuff were still working. So
was it co-ed?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was a day camp. It wasn't like a sleepaway camp.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You at least had it a little easy. Like them overnights, boy.
Yeah, we were able to go home every day after, camp was over.
Yeah, you want kids to go home.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. That's what's up. Appreciate you being here as always.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Welcome to the stage, Mr. Robert.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Thanks for having me, man. Good to see y'all again.
You too. I need your mic, bro.
My man, it's crazy. Now, this is a good mic, actually. I actually enjoy it. It's the one I use for all my stuff. But my first job was actually the military. I joined right out of high school. I did 17 years.
Appreciate your service, homie.
Yeah, thank you. A couple of combat tours and stuff like that, like everybody else. And I'm still living to tell my story. So I was able to make it through. So yeah, that's what's up.
That's what's up. So you was in it for 17, then retired, or you still
okay. So medical retirement, them combat tours, they beat you up, man. And so yeah, they have a way to take a toll on you. but I'm on the other side of it, man. And so like y'all was talking about behind the scenes is that now we just get to live to tell our story. This is a documentary of the such, you know what I mean? So yeah.
That's what's up. Once again, appreciate you being here, man. Always
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
your perspective for sure. And welcome to the station, man, with all the answers, Mr. Prototype. That's what's up.
Man, nah, my first job was shoveling snow. I'm from Pittsburgh, baby. So, you know, I got out there in the snow when I was like 12. My first W-2 job though was Giant Eagle, man, pushing carts and bagging groceries. You know what I'm saying? So
what is that called?
Giant Eagle. It's a grocery store.
Never heard of that. Is it like a family ran or something?
It's it's just as big as a Publix or anything. I don't know what y'all got down.
Okay, I know about a Publix store. I just never heard of that particular one.
Yeah, it depends all on region, right? So
yeah, that's what's up. My first job was, and of course, I always appreciate you being here. My first job was Wendy's. I was 15, I think, and they and I only was able to work there for about a month because they found out that I wasn't of age. so they fired me after they was trying not to pay me as well. So that was my first job, was Wendy's. Before that, I didn't really do. I was just hooping, so I didn't really have no hustle. So, but it definitely taught me a good lesson, not to cheat the system. And then after that, like the next time I worked at Little Caesars. That's why I worked at after that. So
what's the worst job you ever had?
I don't know if I can say that on here. The worst job that I ever, that's a really good question. The worst job I would say that I had, I guess I could. I was maintenance for SFA at Stephen F. Austin, and I had to clean the bathrooms. And if you know anything about women, they are dirty. Okay. Yeah. So I had to clean women bathrooms, men bathrooms too, but it was the worst as far as cleaning out the women bathroom. You know what I'm saying? Well, they weren't women, they were girls. You know what I'm saying? So they didn't do too well at keeping their bathroom clean. So that was the worst job I had. Thanks for asking, though. All right, so we're gonna get the party started. We're gonna be talking about different things kind of connected to being selective. And I was having a conversation with some of my colleagues at work today, and we came to a point of talking about preferences versus rating. And one of the young ladies was like, I really don't like that about Kevin Samuels, that he would rate women. And so I said, well, he didn't really rate women. They rated themselves. And she was like, well, if he disagreed with them, that's a rating. I said, okay, cool. I said, well, do you have a preference? And they said, yes, they have a preference. They chose, I said, would you prefer Jalen Hurts or Samuel Jackson? They said, well, Jalen Hurts is more attractive than Samuel Jackson. I said, well, then therefore you're also rating them. They decided to say no. I said, okay, cool. So let me present this to the congregation of the panel. What's the difference between preference and rating? What's the difference between preference and rating? And we'll start with you, Prototype.
I would say preference is based off of what you like, and rating is, you really can't argue it too much, right? So like I'm not attracted to other races of women. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't like Caucasians or Spanish women. I just like black women, right? So just because a white girl can still get a rating of an 8, but that don't mean I'm attracted to her. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not my preference. You know what I mean? It's, I wouldn't go there, but that doesn't say she's any more ugly than, just because she's a different race. So that would be the difference between like preference and rating for me.
Okay, cool.
Let's go with Ash.
For me, preference is what I prefer to look at. Rating is pretty much what the public deem them as. Hey, you may find them to be a 5, 6, 7. nose too big, lips too small, you may find those features unattractive. So I would say rating is what you actually overall what you're looking like in everybody's eye. Preference is what's pleasing to my eye. That's the way I look at it. And I'm going to go with Robert because he over there look like he ready.
I'm not ready. I ain't even gonna lie to you. This is a good question. I haven't been stumped like this in a minute. But if I could shoot off the dome, I would say preference has a lot to do with programming. And so a lot of times, we tend to be attracted to like what we grew up around. You know what I mean? They try to say, find somebody like your mama, or if you got sisters and stuff like that, or it could even be oxymoronic to what you grew up around. It's like, I want the total opposite of what it was that I had to experience in my life. And so our programming has a lot to do, even our experiences. Like, I could prefer a particular type of woman because of what I was able to experience organically, sexually, productively, or counterproductively. So I think it's all about programming. Whereas ratings, I think I agree with what you said, Ash, has a lot to do with what society says is acceptable. And there's a lot of times where we'll collapse what our preferences are to have social acceptance in certain respects. If, when you're at an immature state, when those things of preference are not your priority. There's a time, I think there was a time that I went through, I'll say it that way, where my ratings superseded my preference. And that led to a lot of failed relationships. Had I really been keen on the examples that I saw, both good and bad, my ratings wouldn't have gotten me in so much trouble. And it has a lot to do with the natural eye too. My mom used to tell me all the time, don't trust a big booty and a smile. That's my rating. You know what I mean? But preferences would have had me choose differently. And maybe, I could have, went without some of the failures that I had relationally. You know what I mean? So lost in translation, what you got, man?
Yeah, I'm so glad y'all asked me this question. For some of y'all don't know, I was a moderator for Kevin, man, for almost 2-3 years. So this question never stumped me. You know what I'm saying? There is no difference. There is no difference. If we're being honest, there is no difference, because you're always going to be rating based upon something else. You know what I mean? And in a vacuum, he was talking about what would you rate yourself as far as how do you feel about yourself? And then if you do, you're rating yourself against your competition. Well, the problem is everybody likes to believe that they don't have competition. And you honestly, yes, you do, because everybody's not going to like you. Everybody's not going to prefer you. But at the same time, there are certain things that you can control, like your behavior. You see what I'm saying? There's certain things that you control, like your physicality. Those are the things that you can control. But at the end of the day, the person who's choosing you is going to rate you based upon what they feel is pleasing to them. So you may rate yourself one way, but the person who you would like to have select you may, rate you a different way. So that's the reason why he posed that question that way. So how do you feel about yourself? Now, the person that you want, how do you feel that they would rate you? And that's when the argument, starts to buzzing around. So nobody wants to take accountability for their own rating and how they see themselves and what value they bring to somebody else who they feel like would want them. And I guess, Miss Taken, it's on you.
Okay, so I guess I have to go my mind educational background. That's the first thing that popped into my mind, where I think that one is I'll say one is more subjective, while the other one is more quantifiable. Like I think about studies where you have like your qualitative and then your quantitative. So I think like your preference is more qualitative, things that you kind of look at and say that you like. And it can be very general about anything. Whereas I think the rating tries to take that and make it much more quantifiable, and it's based on I think what Ash was saying too, that it's more along the lines of trying to take that information and see how others would rate that as well. So you have to have like a general definition of what that rating scale would be, versus when it's just your preference, you don't need to do any of that.
Okay, appreciate that. Dwayne, what's going on, homie?
You're on mute, Dwayne.
He know. You listen, bro. Dwayne. Listen, if I had this button when we have conversations, this would be awesome, Dwayne. We can't hear you, bro.
Yeah, no, I know. How about now? Yeah,
We got you.
I heard you though. I heard you though. Well played. Oh man, what's going on, beautiful people?
What's up, Dwayne?
All right, to the question.
Difference between preference versus rating.
Preference, look at it like a you have a choice between something. A rating, I believe, is a measurement once you've narrowed down the choice. So you could rate something from a scale of, let's say, 1 to 10 or A to F. Preference, I'd prefer, if it was my grades, I'd prefer an A. But based on how my teachers would rate my papers, it didn't turn out that way. So yeah, that's how I put it.
Okay, for sure. The way that I had positioned it or talked about it was that I thought that I felt like they're both the same, because when I gave them the option to say which one do you prefer, Jalen Hurts or Samuel Jackson, they did a rating based on who they chose to be their preference, right? They said that they would prefer to have Jalen Hurts over Samuel Jackson. They did not say, well, I hold them to be the same. The thing I think that one of them said was that I can see that, what they said was that, okay, I'm rating Jalen Hurts an 8 as a 9 or 10 or whatever as it relates to looks. However, Samuel Jackson, I may see him as a good man as it relates to, I know that he's been a good husband, right? So that's a different rating, but it's not the same category, right? When they chose the preference, their category was based on attractiveness, and they both selected the same dude, which would say to me that they rated one higher than the other. Although when you go to the definition of preference is that you prefer, or what is it? I think it was an alternative to something greater. That's what it said, greater than something else, right? And rating was measurable, okay? So both work hand in hand, similar to what Ms. Taken was talking about. Anybody that knows the word qualitative and quantitative, you can really, when you get into studying, there becomes a synonymous thing that happens when you look at quantitative and qualitative. One is just numerical information, and then the other one is explaining the numbers, right? Would that be fair to say, mistaken?
Well, yeah, I would say qualitative is more like you said, if somebody is saying something, but then you take what they say, then you can kind of turn it into a measure or a quantifiable. So
yeah,
I guess
so I'm saying that they're able to work hand in hand,
yeah.
But one is easier on the eyes. If you're talking about research, numbers are easier to people's eyes, to some people who like numbers, and then an explanation is a lot easier to people that are able to read the information. But they work hand in hand, but they both have a particular role to play. And so I looked at preference and rating as the same thing. They just are two different, what is it? They're speaking the same language, is what I'm saying. All right, they just operate from a different place. So we had that argument, we had that discussion or whatever. But nevertheless, I told him, I said, listen, I'm gonna have that question, ask it to my panel, see what they say. And I think it's what we come to realize on the panel is that some people see it as the same and some people see it as different. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, that there is an order to either one of them. Right. All right. So that was good. So then that led me, I think I was talking to Dewayne. We was talking about how men have kind of, well, high value men based on the terminology that Kevin Samuel used. or individuals that I'll say high value men have made it challenging for women to understand where they are as it relates to marketplace. I said this when I was on King Talk. I said, guys, you all need to be very selective in the women you choose to be with or specifically sleep with, because women determine their if I could use the word, some women don't like the word, value with the dude that they sleep with, because women sleep with women that they are physically attracted to typically, right? Where men will sleep with women even if they're not attracted to them, right? So a man that has options, he will sleep with anybody. So that woman that he sleeps with then says, oh, okay, this the type of guy I qualify for, right? Whereas if dudes would be more selective, I think that would be different. That process of mindset would be different. What say you? And we're going to start with Miss Take.
Let me make sure I have the question correct. So the question is, if men were more selective with who they slept with, then they would get more quality women. Am I interpreting that right? Okay, what was the question?
Basically, what would happen if men became more selective in who they chose to sleep with? Because right now, men don't necessarily become select; they just sleep with who they can, right? Even like we're talking about high value guys,
Okay.
right? Now, some of them do choose, but like, okay, I'll be more specific. An attractive dude, specifically, right? Regardless of what his economical status is, has the opportunity to be in a position to sleep with multiple women, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if that woman wouldn't be able to qualify as a nice looking woman, she thinks that she's that much attractive because of who has slept with her.
Mm-hmm.
If
so
that would be, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, so I would think then what would begin to happen is that the quality and value will go up for women who meet that certain criteria of a high value man. They wouldn't have access. So I think of things like, diamonds, precious jewels, certain kind of, cars, is a certain value that are placed on that only a select few would even be able to have access to because of the rarity of it. So I think what happens is that when you have high value men that don't operate on a level of, I guess, picking or sleeping with women that most dudes can't get, it, I think overall, to some degree, allow women to think that they can probably have a high value man that they don't necessarily qualify for. But from a female side, from me, in my opinion, it also devalues his value. It brings his value down as well. And that was actually a conversation that I had with my son in the fact that just because you can, you shouldn't. And the reason is because you want to maintain your value as well. And the fact that nobody wants community D. So so for for him, that was what I was saying. Like, you don't want anybody to just be able to have access to you. You want to have a certain quality of women that you have access to, as opposed to any random. So, I mean, and I think that's how men maintain their value as well. But it gives the illusion to women that they can get any man they want, even though the vast majority of men may see them as a 4. And because they slept with somebody that is considered high value, now they think that they have access to all high value men.
I see you. Who you got going next?
I have Lost in Translation. I saw him shaking his head. I want to hear what he has to
I'm
say.
so glad you picked me for this one. Listen, anybody can rent a high value vehicle. You understand what I'm saying? People go out to budget and they rent cars all the time. They go out there and get the Challengers and the Chargers. And everybody on this panel knows what they do with those Challengers and those Chargers. You know what I'm saying? They burn the tires up on them. They put them through the paces. You know what I'm saying? And they bring them back, put gas in them, and here you go. Then they hit the market, and then, you know, first thing you know, people look at the car facts is like, oh no, I'm not buying this car. This car used to be a rental car. I used to sell cars, and we would not buy rental cars for that reason, because people put them through the paces. The problem with that is that women who sleep with guys think of themselves as, you know, cars that you take home, when basically they're rentals. You know what I'm saying? Anybody can rent you. And then most guys already know, if a whole bunch of guys rented you, we're not going to take you home. You understand what I'm saying? Because people have abused you. Now, here's the problem. Most women don't look at themselves as being abused. They look at themselves as a, you know, hey, I'm actually of value because, you know, Mr. Johnson, who has a Mercedes, rented me for a while. Well, it don't mean nothing unless Mr. Johnson bring you home, put the paperwork on you, and put you in the driveway. You know, my whole thing is this, man. If they don't buy you, if they don't marry you, it does not matter. And I think that's what's really being lost in translation, because people assume just because someone takes you out for a spin that you somehow magically qualify, you know, to be a wife. And in most cases, in those situations, if you open yourself up to those people who buy you or rent you, you're not going to be a wife. And the problem with that is most people don't want to hear that, because it rubs up against their cognitive dissonance, and it messes up their perception of themselves as being special. So that's the reason why, just because women think that they sleep with someone who they deem as high value, it automatically places value on themselves, when that is not the case. And we're going to go with Prototype on this one. Yeah. Tag team. You got it, bro.
Miss Taken, why you lying to your son, man? You know that boy can get as many bodies as he want, and it's not going to lower his value at all. Women say they don't want community D, but they don't care. They don't care at all. You know what I'm saying? As for the question, man. I don't know. Can you roll it across the screen? Roll it across. I just want to make sure I answer it in entirety. I think if men became more selective, it would even out the playing field. But asking men to be selective, I mean, it's just never going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like we not going to be there's a certain few that would, but most men, you know, they're not. You know what I'm saying? Like wolves are going to be wolves, and there's no way around it. You know what I'm saying? They're going to eat up all the sheep they can. You know what I'm saying? So would it help society in the dating market? Yes, but I mean, it's just it's pointless. I don't even know why we go down this rabbit hole like this.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
So with Prototype, I think that has a lot, you're saying in terms of what I told my son, that has a lot to do with what, if he wants a high value woman or quality woman. And the reason I say that is because that has already happened to him. That was where that conversation sparked. It was a girl that he really liked. She was very pretty, nice, you know, very nice. She watched the way that he moved. He was always up in some girl face. It looked like, you know, I mean, she didn't know if he was sleeping with him or not, but that was the assumption. And because she valued herself, she was saying, I don't want any parts of you.
She lied to him.
No, she never dated him. She would not date him. I'm
telling you, if that's the answer she gave him, she lied to him, because he probably seen that same girl date another dude just like him, or even worse.
I'm trying to tell you.
I'm trying to tell you.
It was a neighbor, so I know who the girl is. I know who she is. Mm-hmm. So and she is. I mean, the family that she was raised in. So that was her thing.
She'll have a D boy.
She'll have sleeping with a lot of women or flirting with a lot of women, that equates I can't trust you. So therefore, I don't even want to put myself in a situation to get hurt. So a high quality or a value woman is going to turn the other way, because she ain't going to want no parts of that. So that's why I always say it's very important for women to know who they are before they even try to deal with a dude. So they're not blinded by the high value. They're looking for the high quality. And those are two different things.
I hear you. And it sounds wonderful. But I'm telling you that at some point in that girl's life, she's going to be just another number two, a drug dealer, another athlete, or whatever. She'll end up being that girl regardless at some point in her life. So
Who you got going next, prototype?
I want to go with Dewayne because he's going to put the Bible in it.
Oh man, prototype. I do agree with you. I do agree with you to a certain extent, because I was thinking about it. Like it's not, you're always gonna have bottom feeders, right? So from a standpoint of I was looking at it from a criminal standpoint, right? You try to stamp out the crime, all the crime, get rid of bad behavior, but you can't. You can't. You could try your best, but then there's always going to be opportunists, and opportunists are going to go for what's easy. But to Ms. Taken's point, there are high values women out there that focus on their own values rather than what the culture puts on them as for what is values or valuable. So in the sense of catching bodies, right? There's nothing more valuable than your body. So from that standpoint, most of these women out here, what are they doing? They're marketing their bodies rather than their minds. And men, we really, unless you're high values yourself, you're not really focused on the mind. You're focused on what is common nature to you, is what you see. So for all these women out here that are marketing themselves as easy, what are the guys going to do? You going to blame them? It's kind of like the tuck your chain, right? It's like walking through the hood and you got all your chain and all your blings and all that out. You're just ready to get robbed because you just look like a victim. So for those women out there that are marketing themselves as such, they're just setting themselves up for, like you said, the wolves. They're just out there trying to just swing at anything. And for the high values women out there, they're not looking at it like that. That's how I'm trying to raise my daughters. As for it's not about that. And as for my sons, I'm trying to raise them in the same way as well, to be selective. So whenever we talk about what was it, ratings, and what was the other word again? Preference. Yeah, I desire them to choose better as for their choice. And whenever you might prefer a 10, right? But that 10 is that it has been driven around the block, couple of times, tires burnt up, right? Hey, that's where your ratings now come in. Hey, you might prefer that one right there, but you might want to get this other one over there that has a higher value. So that's my little 2 cents. Robert, what you got on it?
I'm with you, Dewayne. I'm with you, prototype. I'm with you, Lost in Translation. And for sake of conversation, I'm with you too, Miss Taken. I'm with you too. I just want to make sure you get those points right there. But I think women inherit value, whereas men acquire a value along the way. And I think that's the bigger conversation that we got to have. Is that part of the reason why men aren't as selective as they probably could be or should be? Is thank you, Dewayne, for teaching that to your sons as they grow up. But they don't really learn that value until they acquire it at some point, whether it be by occupation, whether it be by some sort of male status, whether it be by height, whether it be because they're the best basketball player on the high school basketball team. You know what I'm saying? They acquire it versus it being taught from the beginning, from their origin system. And so what happens is we find ourselves paying for monogamy. We find ourselves paying for sex. We find ourselves paying for attention, because the value was never instilled in us to not so much be selective, but have more appreciation for ourselves, that we don't have to give ourselves away, so to speak. And so we try to, we now not emasculate, we actually inflate the ability to have a high body count that speaks to our masculinity versus the selectivity of it all being what acquires our value along the way. So now, you take myself, and I'm gonna be real transparent. My value goes down because I've had some bad women in my life, but I married them. And then in divorce, now I have have a record, a track record, so to speak, because I was chasing the value. I was chasing whatever it was that was going to make me feel validated and things of the such. And in doing that, I put a false sense of inflation, a false sense of entitlement in their minds. And so this is why they walk out of the relationship saying, you owe me for my time. You know what I mean? They walk out of the relationship saying, you owe me, you know, because I was just in your life. You contributed nothing to the value that I acquired in my life, but because you simply knew me. There's a false sense of inflation. And the truth of the matter is because we never require anything from them. So we're actually part of the problem, and why, you know, we're now finding the confidence to call ourselves high value men. And now we're talking about the ideology of being selective. It's because we now have to rewrite history in the fact that we never required nothing from them. So we're mad because here it is, all these different years of compatibility and union and things of the such. And all they did was bring their body to the table. And now we having conversations like 50-50 and things of the such. You know what I mean? And part of the reason why their quality at large, you know, could be seen as low is because we never required anything. All we required was sex. All we required was them to look nice. All we required was them, you know, to be some sense of arm candy. And so for me, we have those conversations. What do you literally bring to the table? I had the conversation with my girl, like literally, like, what do I get out of, like, if you want us to get married, what am I going to get out of it time tomorrow? And if you can't tell me what I'm going to get out of it tomorrow, you know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be a bill. It doesn't have to be anything, but it does have to be value. It does have to be quality. When I dream bigger than me. When I think bigger than me. You know what I mean? To a certain degree. And so, I just think at the end of the day, it's like I said in my first point, you know, women inherit it from the beginning, because we're talking about, this is my baby girl, and she's so precious. She's so this, she's so that. But then we teach our sons to be, you know, hard on themselves and have to have such, you know, immeasurable standards at 3 and 4 years old. You know what I mean? And they never learn the art of value. And so now we turned it into being selective at 35 and 40 years old. And now we look like a bunch of, you know, egotistical men, when if we would have just had the value system in the beginning, it would have leveraged the playing field from the beginning. Does that make sense? Kind of said a lot, but you know, it's all about inherited versus gained value along the way. And of course, Ash.
I ain't got nothing. I'm lying. To speak to prototype, because it seems like we're gonna beat tonight. Look, I don't care how many times you ran around the block. Don't nobody want the doorknob, okay? Don't nobody want the dude that everybody doesn't touch. I don't care what nobody say. Hey, you can look funny all you want, but nobody wants the doorknob. Because guess what? Somebody in your circle know about the doorknob, and guess what they finna do? They finna tell it. They finna tell it. And once they tell it and put out the little room, the doorknob ain't doorknobbing. It's just there. It's too small. You gonna hurt your hand trying to grab it. You know, don't nobody want that. Once it's put out there, don't nobody want it. Because
why are you hurting your head trying to grab it? I just need to understand
here
what
you go. Here you go. It hurts. You know, it ain't there. It ain't there. It ain't there.
But what if it is?
I'm just trying to figure out how you hurting your head.
But what if it is?
It ain't there. Here you
What
go.
if it
One thing about a female, once you find a good doorknob, you don't want nobody touching. You go in there like Dolomite. You finna swing on anybody trying to come through it. Ain't nobody trying to give up no good doorknob. Don't nobody want nobody else coming through a door that they don't went through, that they know is good on the other side. I don't care what you say. Cause anytime you can tell how bad these bitter baby mamas is, how bad some of these women talk after the divorce, all that. Just sit back and watch how women get catty about a man that done did them wrong, but their doorknob was turning right. It was oil and grease. You can shake your head all you want to, but see, you gotta be on this side.
Look, if you see enough people going in and out of that door, women tend to think that there must be something special behind that door.
I do apologize. I had to speak for myself on this. If I see you going in and out that door, that means something wrong. Something might be on there that I ain't trying to get stuck with.
Curiosity kills that cat.
I've never had a problem with anybody knowing somebody before me. I've never had a problem with that.
That's probably because
she's
you
never
not meeting a lot of high value women.
Here we go.
I'm saying
let it begin.
And the reason I say that is because the women that I know who do not have a high body count, who have been either were virgins before they got married or just very selective and had a very low body count, one thing that they all had in common were not necessarily men who were doing the things that y'all were saying. Now, I'm not saying that they didn't, that their men were virgins too. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that they weren't, it sounds like what y'all are saying, that y'all were on the street. Like, you know what I'm saying? Y'all was out in them streets, heavy. And one thing that I saw that was consistent between those women is that their men weren't necessarily out in the streets heavy like that.
I'll just say they all had one of them men in the street at some point or another.
Not if they were virgins. No, they didn't. They
Stop.
didn't.
Stop.
Come on.
Listen.
I mean, look, this
Why
conversation,
not?
it's
So
they really
crazy
don't know.
that
I
I don't
mean,
believe that there are women that are actually virgins. I'm not saying that everybody sleep, you know, that they're probably
y'all don't even
not
tell each other the
women who
truth.
aren't virgins. But what I'm saying is that there are quality women, and the fact that you don't know them means that I think that has a lot more to do with you than it do with them.
It's not.
That's
It's
an
not about.
interesting statement. Hey, listen, real quick though, I'm gonna get to like I really think she has a point though, right? Because if we're gonna say that men should be, this is what I researched today, and I was gonna ask this question, but this makes it but it's a good point here that women actually are more selective than men. Did y'all know that?
It's because of inflation, though.
Whatever the case may be, it's a biological thing. I listened to like about 5 or 6 different people.
They have to be.
Right. They have to be. They have to be more selective, right? So because they have to be more selective, right? That means that they're more than likely going to be choosing some of the same dudes that everybody else wants. Okay. So that would be the difference between what you all are saying and what Miss Taken is saying. Now there is so every woman wants about, I think it was they were talking about that women threw away about 80% of the men to say that they were not attractive, right? Okay, so that means that these 20%, all of them want this 20% guy. So they have been selective. It just so happens that they have selected the same guy, right? And if this guy has the thing that you all are saying is that this guy that has the opportunity to have as many
80% of the women,
80% of the women, then he's going to be able to have sex with all of them. Basically, that's what you're saying. But what Miss Taken is saying that there is some parts of that 80% of woman. Yes, she desired to have this dude, but once she sees that he's going to be undisciplined, then I'm not going to put myself in the scenario of being around an undisciplined dude. I'm saying, and so she's saying that there are women out there like that. It just so happens that you all may not be in that realm of women. That's what she's saying. Am I right?
I'm saying is,
right,
by the time she figures out that dude is undisciplined and ain't this or that, it's already too late.
He's already gotten it.
He's already
and
gotten
humble
it.
that I may submit to you that those guys will still be invisible because he's not desirable to her anyway. That 80% of men that she has to go back to now, she's not going to find those guys appealing anyway. So they're going to go right back to the same 20%. And they're asking the guy who's in the top 20% to be disciplined. That's like asking a fat kid not to eat cake and he got the keys to the store. That's not realistic, man. It's really not.
I'm not
just seen the guy move around. Don't nobody want that. I don't care what you say. Just like when y'all done seen a girl don't move through y'all homeboys, y'all may have thought it.
It's not the same though, Ash.
It's not the same.
It's not the same in that sense.
I see
the part that is specific, the part that you're missing on when you say the difference. The difference is that a woman of high character and high values and high integrity, those women, which are few and far between, because I've worked with women all my life, okay, and the way that they maneuver as it relates to wanting to be married, they don't operate from a position of wanting to be married, okay, because they give themselves away early, okay. But there are those women that will say, you know what, I'm just going to sit on the sidelines because there are no dudes that I'm able to rock with. That's what Mistaken is saying. She's also saying that if you are a man that don't know those type of women, then that's something wrong with your particular environment, right? The other part is that I was trying to get y'all to see that if a man is selective, right, and we'll get to it in a minute. If a man is more selective, the woman's mindset is going to be different. Because if you're a high character, high integrity, high values type of dude, and that means that you're not just going out and being a community dick. You know what I'm saying? And so now, because I just looked at this a few moments ago, if you have created boundaries, you have now increased your opportunity to have be in a more selective class of dude, right? So y'all can continue operating in your emotions, you know what I'm saying, if you will, gentlemen. You know what I'm saying?
It was this story. A man who has dick discipline becomes more valuable to women. A woman finds them more valuable because they feel as if nobody else has access
but
to
the caveat mistake is it has a high value woman.
Right.
A high value woman,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Not the women. It's where it is right now, that majority of women are cool with just opening themselves up to men that are not qualified to be their husbands. We're not talking about those women that will continue to sleep with Nick Cannon, knowing that he has multiple baby mamas. We ain't talking about the people that continue to sleep with Future or any celebrity type dude, or the women that keep sleeping with anybody that's popular because, oh, I can have him. Look, I had him. They're trying to put him on their roster. Those are not the women that they're referring to. You're referring to somebody different, Robert Prototype.
So she mentions dick discipline, right? How do you acquire discipline? Practice. That's how you get discipline.
Practice of what though?
You gotta practice.
You got to have something to turn down.
How many times you gotta abstain from it? You got to get to a point where, like, man, I done messed up enough. Man, I gotta practice saying no. And
that's not true.
Coming. Yeah, it
that's
is.
not true.
Yeah, that's how you get discipline.
That's not true.
Practice.
I didn't get discipline. I didn't get discipline until I got tired of messing up over and over again. And so, I guess you can call it practice, but when I got tired of getting the same results, you know what I mean? So I was kind of forced into the element of discipline. And I tell people all the time, like, you won't change something until you hate it. And so if you want your value to go up, if you want your selections to be able to go up, one of the things we see on our podcast all the time is your current options are not your only options, but it takes a particular level of maturity and time and space to get to that space where you can say, my current options are not my only options. There is more out there. There is better out there. I am better. I am worth more. But I just think it takes failure. And I guess you could call it practice, like I said. But for me, I didn't get to a space where my options became prevalent to me until I said, I am tired of jacking this up. I'm tired of getting the same type of woman. I'm tired of being the same type of man to these women and producing the same results. It took me saying I want to be different. And when I said I wanted to be different, I attracted different. And so, that's kind of
practice. That's practice.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. You can't be.
Hold on,
you
real
can't
quick,
be
Lost
tested.
Hold on, Lost Trade. We're gonna go to Dewayne, then come back to you.
Come on, Dewayne.
My bad. You know what? I was just thinking, like, for the guys on the panel, how many of y'all were encouraged to abstain from sex?
Yeah.
And whenever I say like encouraged, like you had somebody there who like what we're talking about now, right? Where we're at now, where we learned, right? We say we are disciplined. Like, is that something we would pass on? And if so, because I think you said rewriting history, Robert. And in that rewriting history, from the mistakes in which we've learned, like who among us here like had that knowledge or that wisdom of someone speaking into our lives from that standpoint?
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. Yeah.
I didn't. So one of, how about Elijah?
What's up?
So did you have that? Did you have somebody speaking into your life from that standpoint, like to abstain?
Kind of in high school, but not once I got to college. No.
I mean, like, was it already gone? Were you already not a virgin anymore?
Yeah,
that ship has sailed. The bottle broken. The ship gone. Right.
Yeah.
All right. So we're at 20. We're at 20% on the panel right now.
Oh man.
We're at 20%. So from a discipline standpoint, like we're talking about from experience, like after we already messed up, like after the ship has already sailed and the voyages have been made. I'm looking at it from the standpoint of, are we teaching that abstinence or abstaining from sex, something so dangerous is something that is a goal that can be obtained? Like from a teaching standpoint, I look at it from that standpoint. I wasn't taught that. I wish I was. You know, like one of the gifts that I wish that I could give my wife is that I was a virgin going in to our marriage. But I didn't do that. Right. So whenever it comes to discipline is not after you've like that messed up. It's discipline is, hey, this is my goal, and this is I want to get to it. And you could stumble along the way, but I'm not talking about stumbling into some box or doorknob.
Don't bump into that doorknob.
Head all toe up. Oh, man. What's wrong with your head?
My bad, Loss. Hit him with
it. Here's my thing, man. You can't be tested in a vacuum. You know what I'm saying? If you have women that's coming to you, then that's when the test begins. You know what I'm saying? You can't just say, I have discipline in the absence of temptation. That don't make sense. You know what I'm saying? That's like going to the gym and say, I can lift 450 pounds. Well, you never did do it. You ain't never been tested. You ain't got under the weight. You ain't got under the pressure. You see what I'm saying? So to say that a man needs to have discipline outside of being tested is not real. You know what I'm saying? Now, my thing is this. We could all be educated better. I got a friend of mine who wrote a book. It's called The Sexual Miseducation of Black Men in America by A.B. Bracewell. Fantastic book. I suggest the gentleman get it because it talks about how we were taught and learned sexual behavior as Black men in America. So my thing is this, until you're actually tested, there's no such thing as having discipline in the absence of opportunity. That's called an incel. You see what I'm saying? And most guys who in the bracket that you would like to start your selection process from, those people have access. You see what I'm saying? Most women don't start at the bottom and work their way up to the top. They start at the top and then see what they qualify for and then work their way down to the bottom. But the problem with that is the guys that they passed up going up, they're going to have to pass them going down. And they say, oh no, we saw you looked over us. And you thought you were better than us. So guess what? You're going to have to get in line. So what happens is they wait till they get about 40, 50 years old, start freezing eggs. You know what I'm saying? Find out that don't work. And then they subscribe to the kitty litter of the month club. And they go silently off into the old folks home in the West. And that's exactly what happens. That's what happens when you miscalculate your value. You see what I'm saying? And you think just because you're around these guys, you add value. You only add value when you have usefulness to the person who wants you. And the problem is most people don't know what they are bringing to the table. They never submit to themselves, hey, what value do I bring? If somebody can't use you, you are of no value. And nobody wants to say that part out loud. And that's the truth. That's the truth. Most men already know coming in this world, their value is based upon how people could use them. That is your usefulness. You see what I'm saying? That's the main reason when guys play sports, they keep score. This is not Dollhouse where we braid each other's hair and tell each other we're special. That's not what men do. That's what women do. And that's what happens when most women get their flawed sense of entitlement because they heard their girlfriend say, you're so special. You know what I'm saying? In your own special way. And men don't do that to each other. We kick each other in the butt and say, you got to get it, bro. Nobody's going to do anything for you. And here's the thing. Here's the kicker. Most women don't realize that they do this because they start at the top because they know these guys have put in the work and then they go backwards. So that's where the miseducation of women come in. They don't add value by saying, hey, look, if you marry me, this is what I do for you. They look at it as a means of I'm going to extract something from you instead of saying, hey, look, this is what I bring to you. And that is what men look for. They look for what else. That's the reason why Robert was saying, well, what else do you bring to the table? Everybody has sex, but what sets you apart? I'll give you an example of what sets you apart. Say, for instance, she has a musical talent. She plays a violin. Okay, that's something that other women don't do. That stands out. You see what I'm saying? Say, for instance, that she plays the piano. That stands out. There must be something that sets you apart other than sex. Everybody has sexual organs, but what makes you special? What is your genius, and can I use it? That's it. Because I promise you, all these men on this panel have something that makes them valuable to their woman, and they women will have no hesitation of telling you exactly what that is. The problem is we don't sit up here and we don't evaluate ourselves and say, hey, what can I bring to the table? And that is the issue.
I ain't did a thing. My point exactly. There we go, my man. There we go. There we go. I'm sorry, I had to get that out for me. That was good. That was
that was good.
You
Did
blessed
you
me.
want
You blessed. No, you blessed me. I'm good there. We good. That's it.
Yeah, who wanted to add to that? Because that was a
can't follow that. You can't follow that. You got to ask the next question.
You can't follow that, but I do have a question, and I do have a concern, right? Because from a guy's standpoint, we're very visual, right? And we're talking about like sex, right? And we talk about the physical aspect of sex, but I'm also concerned about the psychological aspect of it. So, like going back to when we were young, right? Access to pornography. The access to pornography and what it does to a man's mind, and what it does to a man's mind and how he then looks at the world. I think that is something of deep concern that we should talk about, because like we're sitting here, we're talking about these things, right? And I also then think the role it plays in women's lives as well. Like, you know, like consider like the Barbie, right? That perfect image. And you don't see too many porn stars that are like ratchet ugly, right? They're usually put together, that image. And for men, we see that and we want all that perfect, the perfect everything, right? Body, everything. We don't care about whether their parent play a violin. And if we do, is she playing it naked? Right? Is she? Can she? What talent does she does she do? And is she naked? Because going back to the visual aspects, we're very visual, right? So from that standpoint, I look at it from a societal standpoint and the damage in which pornography does to our society. So people get addicted to that, right? And then from men, Brandon, you said it earlier, trophy. We want to collect trophies. Men want to collect trophies. I heard something that whenever a man looks on a woman with lust, is the same sensories that goes off in their brain as if they see a tool or like using a tool. It's the same thing that goes off. So what can it do for us? Like whenever we collect a tool and we set it on the shelf, oh yeah, I got that one. I got that one. I got that one. Same thing for a trophy. Oh, I got that one. I got that one. I got that one. And from that standpoint, with pornography, it puts this obtaining. I want to see what that's like. I want to try that. I want to, and all these things, and what it does from a youth standpoint. And I'm speaking for myself. All right, I ain't gonna do the survey on this one. I ain't gonna do no rating on this one. I'm gonna speak for myself, and I'm like what you said, Brandon. What was it? The time, like going back and rewriting. What was it? Yep, rewriting history. If I could rewrite history for myself, all the time that I struggled with pornography and what it did for my mind, it warped my mind and what it means to even be a husband from that standpoint, right? So I wasn't looking for a wife. I was looking for an object. I was objectifying women. So we start in the walls, the four walls, right? No one sees our search history and all that. So guess what? Click clacking at the keyboard, and we got www.useyouриmagination.com. So from that standpoint, I'm a little worried and concerned because it does not entice that virgin mentality, because it entices that go out and get it, see how many you can sleep with, see how much you can acquire. That's something I don't think we talk about as a whole. The unhealthy aspect of pornography and how it impacts men's mentality. Not just men, women struggle with it too. So I just want to throw that out there.
I just wanted to say too, when we had talked about discipline, that and I know a lot of men, especially young men, don't necessarily have that because they're actually encouraged to do quite the opposite. But I can say when I met my husband, so I was in college when I met him, that was one of the things that attracted me to him, was the fact that I was told no. And like a lot of times women, we're testers. I think we are testers by nature. I just have to accept that fact. And one of the things that he used to do, and I till this day I have not met any young man that did the things that he did at the age that I met him, was the fact that he would just go on fast, just in general, fast from sex, fast from food, fast from porn, just random, just doing those things randomly. And I remember one time he was on a sex fast, and my Eve nature
Test him.
Come on, tell the truth now.
wanted to give him that apple.
Transparency. Right? That's what's up.
Right. I wanted to give him that apple.
Give him some of that. Yes.
He just, it was like, no. Like I said, no. And the more he said no, the more I wanted to. And once it got to the point that I knew his no meant no, that was so freaking sexy to me, because it let me know that when the pressure is on, especially with somebody that I know he cares about, and he was able to say no, that it gave me a sense of security, that I don't have to worry about him being the community D, because I know he's going to say no. You know, I know he has the ability to say no. I know he can say no when he doesn't have to. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. The fact that he disciplined himself in various areas, not just sex, just with things that he watched, things that he listened to, things that he ate. It just
it set him apart,
right, from other dudes.
Yeah,
so
May I submit mistaken? Mm-hmm. Basically, what he did was he involuntarily inflated your ego, because it appears as if you were more special because he decided to do something for himself. So if he decided to say no, then that made you feel like you were more special. So in other words, he fed your ego indirectly. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Because when women, I'll give you an example. If a man has his options.
To that one part, the reason I say that I don't know, it actually, I wouldn't say inflated, I'll say it deflated my ego, because in my mind, any man would want sex with me. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's gonna be able to tell me no. You know what I'm saying? So it deflated my ego when I was trying to get, and he told me no. So for me, it was more of a deflate, like, dang, I make him succumb to.
He humbled you. It was a humbling moment.
Exactly.
And
So
that's what
yeah.
But when he finally did it make you feel special?
Oh no, we've already had sex. He was
no. I'm just saying, after he told you no, and all of a sudden he said, okay, now we can. Did that make you feel special?
Oh, hell yeah.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
It was just way too long.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
And so this is a transition to a statement that I was telling this lady that I was talking to. I said, listen, man, you do realize that you're wanting, and I know that what I'm saying is something challenging for a guy that doesn't get sex often or a guy that has the options to have sex, it is a hard thing to say, to tell them. I mean, it's an easy thing to say, but it's a hard thing to do. To tell them, listen, reserve yourself, right? Protect your seed, right? So one of the things that Hank did with his son, he gave him the financial aspects of what it looks like not to protect your seed, right? So if we're coming from that position, it'll be different. This is what I told, as well as biblical as well. What I told her is that I said, do you realize that most women, if not 98% of them, initiate sex? I said again, it may be more than that. Yeah, for the simps out there, they're going to be the ones that's begging for sex, but most dudes are not going to necessarily be begging for sex because they don't want to appear like a simp or appear to be. Well, yes, Dewayne, that's true. Women typically let you know that that they're ready to go.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think there's a difference between initiating versus saying, if you make the move,
That's what I'm referring to. That
Okay.
Women will let you know that they're ready to go. A dude does not want to move forward until he knows that you're willing to say yes, because he runs a risk that he's not wanting to take. You know what I'm saying? Of you thinking that he's too aggressive, that
he's
or
a creep.
He's a creep.
Giving
Whatever
her the ick, or whatever they call it these days.
Correct. So I was telling her, I said, listen, that's why it makes more sense for a woman to say no than a man, especially when y'all have you all at more risk, right? You all have more risk in catching diseases. I just learned that today. Y'all have you're gonna get pregnant, and if you decide not to keep the baby, that's a cost, right? And then you do have the baby, that's a cost. It changes your life drastically. And so, but I'm also telling men that y'all got to be selective. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're not selective, then your finances will be different. You feel me? Your finances will be different. Your life will be different. And this probably wasn't even the woman you seen as your wife, right? And if you don't see her as your wife, you shouldn't be laying down with her, because it's so many things that could go wrong in that scenario, So I wanted to ask this question. It's kind of connected. I wanted to know, how can every man become a selected man? Meaning that, like I said before, right? We talked about how women want a guy typically based on resources, right? But the initial thing that it is that they see is, does he look good? That's on a dating site though, right? But as it relates to somewhere else, if they're in a public setting, my question is, what do men need to do? Or my first question is, how can every man become a selected man? And who wants to go first on that? How can every man become a selected man? And we talking, I'll give you age to be a little bit more helpful. 25 and up. Okay, 25 and up. Go ahead.
But I have a question. When you say selective, are you saying when they're selecting these women when they're out in public? Are they selecting what you?
What I mean by a selected man is, somebody wanted to say?
You know what I'm saying? Being selected by a woman?
Yeah, like you're the of course you're going to be the one that says, okay, here's a woman that I like, but the woman got to like you back.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Don't leave with money. Okay, put your money back in your pocket. I don't care what you say, prototype. You can roll your neck how you want to. Cause see, that's the problem. That's how you get these bottom feeders that move to the top real quick. These I love my word better. Leeches. They only leech on until they suck you dry, and then they move on to the next one and suck on him till he go dry. So if you stop leading with your money and start actually looking at what the woman talking about, then maybe you can, have a better picking. But when you let every leech latch on, taking her out for these expensive drinks, and you really know the conversation ain't there, but she nice to look at, don't nobody really want that. Cause at the end of the day, you gonna smash and dash. Soon as you smash, you gonna dash. Then that leech is on to the next one, and it may be in your circle.
I gotta disagree just because of the nature of the question.
Thank you.
I understand those are the components to being a selective man, a man that can select and have options. But the unfortunate truth is we have to be everything the opposite of what you said. We have to give. We have to show that we're a provider. We have to show element of security. We got to be tall. We got to sometimes be light skinned, depending on preference versus rating and stuff like that. Like you gotta work out. You know what I mean? You got to make 100,000 plus. You know, depending on what part of America you live in and stuff like that. You know, economics is some sort of. You got to drive something nice. Is that the right way for you to be selected? No, but unfortunately, because it goes back to what Lost in Translation said, I think is what he said earlier. You know, they have the option to choose us, and we just gotta hope they choose us to a certain degree. You know what I mean? We don't have I can't go with that, because
Well,
if
I
we
got
don't
back
present
to
that,
what you said though.
yeah,
That's part of programming.
yeah,
So
it is part of
But it's still there.
Okay, so when
It's
you
still
program
there.
yourself that you got a lead coming this month with the Big Bang Hank status, what do you think you're going to get? You're not going to get a good quality woman. Let's just think about it. Let's just think about it. When you go to the club, everybody dancing and shaking it out, right? But when you see that one dude that you know that's your trick, you can tell it, you can smell it, you can look at him from the head to the toe.
you're still curious. You're still curious. And you won't say it out loud, but you're still curious. At the end of the day, all that doorknob stuff you was talking about earlier today.
No, baby. For me, if you out here tricking like that, one, I got to worry about who watching you, who about to try to rob you. Baby, I got to come home. I got to come home. Okay. I got a whole family that rides and depend on me.
So look at the perspective that you're speaking from. You're speaking from a perspective, you're married, you're settled, you have a family. We are talking about the single video vixen woman that's looking for a man.
I wasn't speaking to the video vixen per se. I'm talking about average level girls. I'm not talking about them.
There are video vixens in their mind because they got on heels and a body shaper. Like, come on, like, chill, like, stop that. Like, stop that.
Is who do you want to be selected by?
Okay.
So I think that's
still being selective.
Hold on, let her finish real quick and then come back to you, Robert.
Yeah, that's the nuance of that question, because it's saying for a man, how can every man be selected? But what I'm saying, it has a lot to do with who do you want to be selected by. So based on the type of woman who you want to be selected by, there's going to be certain kind of qualities and attributes that you're going to need to exude in order to get that type of woman. So that really boils down to the type of woman you want. So if you want a woman that's going to be a trophy, that you can, be the one that everybody's going to be like, oh, that's, you may have to lead with your money if that's the type of woman that you want to attract. However, if you want a quality woman that's family oriented, that wants children, that wants to stay home, or whatever it is that what you value, then you're going to have to exude certain qualities and characteristics that she's going to notice, that's going to align with the fact that she wants to be a stay-at-home mom. So you're going to probably have to have a decent job in order to take care of her ability to be able to stay home and raise the children. Things like that. So to me, I think what determines the type of woman you get or attract is based on the qualities that you're going to put out, because only women who want those qualities are going to be the women that are going to be attracted to that.
I totally agree with you. I just think it's exactly what we asked in the first question about us being selective. And I think the truth of the matter is all men go through a phase where we just want to be selected, period. And we don't even know what we want that selective rate to look like until we've been selected a couple of times over. And it doesn't even happen until we've been selected. We don't even develop a preference or a rating, because we got to figure out what we qualify for before we even start making a rating to want to be selected by. We just got to hope that we're one of your options. And so that's the truth behind it. So when you ask the question again, what does it take for a man to be selected? It's everything you mentioned and some, and we just hope somebody within the construct of what we want is attracted to what we're leading with.
Go ahead, Lost in Translation.
I'm going to use Ashley's example to prove exactly why most women can't be trusted with their own selection. Okay. Remember when she said she went to the club and she sees this guy in the club and sees who everybody's around him, this, that, and the other, right? What do most women say they want? They want a protector and a provider, right? So earlier I said most women don't see the average man. He's invisible to them, right? If you don't remember, there's a security guard at that front door that you had to walk right past. He's a provider because he's working when everybody else is playing. He's a protector because he's making sure that nobody gets in to hurt nobody with no guns and no pistols and no foolishness like that, and to handle business. If women use logic, they would all flock to the security guard instead of the guy who's with the nice suit, smelling good, with all the women all around him. That just proves my point earlier. That's the reason why most of y'all can't be trusted with using y'all logic to select a man. That's just period, point blank. Think about it. You walk past a man who had everything that you wanted and you ignored him because he was invisible.
Bro. Security guards.
Bro.
Duh.
Great analogy.
No. The club security, more than enough options. More than enough options. They select that guy time and time again.
You think they do select the security guard?
I've been it.
We're not okay.
That's
why you said
security guard gets selected by the ugly friend.
No, we don't. No.
Women are not good judges. I'm gonna be honest. Women are not good judges when it comes to picking, because it can be so random sometimes about what some women will be like, no, I need this dude that makes this amount of money. But you look at the history and those dudes, some of them in that lineup will be security guards. So I think it all depends on whatever energy, like I know what's that, they just like that big D energy.
Right.
If that
and most security guards are big
women,
anyway, and the right prototype.
I'm just saying, sometimes for women, it is about that confidence, how you carry yourself. So even if let's say you're not making six figures, but you walking like you on your way to making six figures, a woman is going to be attracted to that. If you don't necessarily have certain things in place now, but you're carrying yourself as if you did, that facade, the way you present yourself, women are going to be attracted to that, even when you're not attractive to the eye. Women have an ability to be attracted to something about you. So it's kind of like, dang, look at the way he walked. He got, we're going to see, y'all better thank God. God put that in us because I think it would be even more slimmer pickings if we did not have that, because it could be something about you where other women may not necessarily find a particular dude attractive. But if you are a kind of attractive female and you find something about that dude that's attractive, his rating just gone up, because other women are now going to wonder, what did this attractive woman see in him? He must have something. You know what I'm saying? So women have the ability to, in their minds, which I think sometimes is a good and a bad thing, to turn a man into something in their minds that he may not be. And they'll be attracted to that. So it doesn't always have to be the 6-figure dude or the 6'11" dude. It doesn't. If you come in with a certain like air about you, the way you walk, the way you talk, you could just look like, because I've seen dudes act like they the protector, like they got hands, and a ninja don't have hands. It get boop, boop, like real quick, but he walked around like he carried himself as if he could be that protector. So a woman is going to feel safe with a dude that presents that way.
So you're basically saying that, if I'm hearing you correctly, one of the main things that all dudes could do is learn confidence.
Absolutely.
Right. So if you have confidence, how do you get like, I know, but how, because I struggle with bringing down some of my confidence, right? Because I'm not humble. I'm learning to be, and I'm on this journey, right? Okay, so when I'm trying to teach my sons what humility looks like, or trying to walk with a swag, if you're walking with a swag, then that means that you're not really being humble, though. So how are you able to exhibit? You're not really. You know what I'm saying? If you're saying I got to walk with this confidence.
Do humble mean you got to walk around like this? Humble is action. Like you can walk around confident and still be humble.
Okay. What you saying, Robert? And then we'll go to
the only small thing I was going to add to that is I'm disagreeing for the sake of conversation. I understand exactly what you're talking about. I want to make sure I'm clear about that.
Okay.
But I say cap in the fact that when you start dating a man because of the confidence he exudes, you're dating him for his potential. You're dating him, you know what I'm saying, for what you believe he is, his representative. But what happens when you find out who that man really is behind closed doors? What happens when you find out, okay, I don't need a man with 6 figures, but when you find out he only making 50K and you happen to be making a little bit more than him, that becomes a conversation. And we don't want to acknowledge it, but there's a truth to the fact that you have to be what I think you are and what you really are in real time. Those two have to touch. And when they don't touch, now you got to start speaking about their potential to your homegirls, because your homegirls going to ask. And then you're going to be like, girl, you know what I mean? Like now we got to justify his potential. You know what I mean? And so that's why I say it's cap. I get what you're saying, but it's a little bit more than confidence. It's resources. It's reliability.
Get your foot in the door, though.
It's perceived, though.
You can't just get to the doorway and then think that you understand what I'm saying. The confidence part is going to get you to the door, but once you walk through the door, of course, you're gonna have to show and prove.
And on confidence alone, that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. I'm gonna get it, and then now where's the selectivity coming from? You know what I'm saying? Like when we're neither one of us are no longer being selective when we're looking at the potential of it all, when we're looking at what we see, when we're looking at the rating of it all, when we're looking at, our preferences. So, but I do get what you're saying.
But that's the thing. Women are selective, but the way in which they choose is not beneficial to them. And so I think what Ms. Taken was saying.
Yeah.
What you got? And while he's on mute, I want to say that to the women that talk about men can't say certain things to women, Miss Taken just told y'all, and she's a seasoned veteran, if I may say, right, in the game, as well as being married. She's saying that women struggle picking quality dudes.
We know.
That's what she's saying, right? I'm just saying that for the internet, you know what I'm saying? And for my coworkers that I be spitting this game to. Hey, Dewayne, on you.
No, I look at it as marketing. It's all marketing. So how do you, to your question, it's marketing. Know your audience. Know your audience. So in that, it's, Robert, you were talking earlier about that video vixen, right? If they can market as much as they want, but if you don't want the product,
what can it do for you?
Yeah, they can't do nothing for me if I don't want it, right? That same thing as the door-to-door solicitor, right? If I don't want their product, no matter how good their pitch is, no matter how good their whatever it is, if I don't want it, it is what it is. So you got to know what you are looking for as for what that product per se can do for you. In turn, there's all the people that is looking for your marketability. So sometimes people try to buy what's not for sale, right? And sometimes we gotta be reserved until we're ready to. And I look at it from the standpoint of good things do come to those who wait. And in that same sense, as you get to mature and get better and know what it is that you're looking for, I think that time builds that maturity. So instead of us going and looking at the thing that shines and shimmers and gets get bamboozled or fooled, be reserved. So know your audience, know what you have, the value in which you have, and what you have to offer, and then there you go.
So basically, you're basically saying you can only ask for what it is that you are. Or what you can, like for example, you can't say. I think the struggle that I have with dudes that be like, okay, well, I want my lady to have a low body count, but he's saying I can have as high body count as I want to. Like, you know what I'm saying? That doesn't really make sense to me. Now, if you're saying that, and then you say, okay, I don't have to have integrity, but you do. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. So I'm saying, if you have a particular criteria of a woman, then you should have the same standards for yourself. That's
I
what
agree.
I agree. Unfortunately, women don't hold us to that. That's the man way of thinking, that women should function that way, but they don't. They don't care about body count. They don't really care about integrity. It's never one of their first.
Yeah, I wasn't talking from a woman, but I wasn't talking from a woman's perspective. I was saying to men. I'm talking to men when I say my statement.
I agree, but where it conflicts,
so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the woman thinks. If I'm holding true to what I'm saying my boundaries are, right, and I'm telling another man, listen. As a matter of fact, I told this to the dudes on King Talk. I was like, listen, I don't understand dudes that not even trying to be husbands are concerned about a woman's body count because you don't even see her as a wife. So why would it matter? Now, it does matter to a dude that does value himself and values who he gives himself to. So then he can then hold her the same accountability, because he's like, listen, I value my body, so I think that you should too. I value my God, so you should too. So I'm saying that there are things that you should have boundaries on, and whatever they are, you should also hold yourself to the same extent. That's what I'm saying. And I'm talking to men, not women.
If the other side, if I can still get what I want, if I could put these demands without having those things, it doesn't matter.
Then that says something about you as a man, though.
It doesn't matter if it says anything about me, because I'm still getting what I want.
It says that you're a weak-minded man. That's what that says.
You can say, regardless if you say he's weak-minded or not, he's still getting what he wants. So he really, like, I don't know anybody that really cares about another man's perspective of themselves.
Oh, well, you should care about my perspective for sure. You know what I'm saying? Because what I'm saying is truth, is what I'm saying. If you're telling me that just because what the world does doesn't mean what the world does is correct, right? I'm speaking to you from a moral perspective, right? That it makes more sense to say that this is what I want, right? If you want a high integrity woman, you want a woman that's a beautiful woman, you want her to be in shape, you want her to cook, you want her to clean. I'm not saying you have to cook and clean, but you have to say, listen, because you're going to be cooking and cleaning, I'm going to be providing for you every day that you live with me. That's what I'm saying, that you're my wife. I'm going to take care of you in that way. But for a guy to say, I want this caliber of woman, but not willing to do the things that it takes to have that type of woman, that's insanity. Because you don't qualify. Insanity
because he's getting it.
No, he's okay.
No.
Okay. Go ahead, Dewayne.
Getting it are two different things.
He don't care about keeping it. He'll get another one.
No. See, and that's the thing, right? HD, you made mention as for they want something that you are, right? But then also mistaken as for the potential. I also look forward to the potential that you can be better than you are today. So
you're talking about for a woman, yeah. So a man is definitely looking at the woman.
I'm talking about twofold. It's on both parts. It's on both parts.
Both
parts, and because we're all both human beings, we have the ability to mature, and that's maturing together for the betterment of each other, right? So ain't nothing like going out there and getting a product, right? And you get the product, and it ain't what you expected it to be. Right. That's why there's certain things called warranties and even extended warranties. Right. So that you can get it back. So, yes, you're right. Prototype. You can go out and you can get you another one. You get you another one. But in it, whenever you got you something good, that other one ain't the same. Ain't the same. So in that, whenever you get you something of high value, right. And not only that, not just then, but you can also see the value that it will bring you in the future, that it appreciates and it doesn't depreciate. Oh man, you got yourself a good thing right there.
I'll say this like this, right? How many guys, and everybody know this guy, right? When he was in high school, got all the girls, blah, 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 blah. But he stopped progressing. After high school, he's nobody. Why did he stop progressing? Because he got everything he wanted in high school. So he's like, what's the point of working for the rest of life? Well, I'm the man already. So he thinks he's going to keep it, but he doesn't. It flares out. So he becomes a bum. But in high school, he stopped progressing because he got it all already. He got everything he thought he wanted. So if all I want is girls, and I get all the girls young, well, I ain't have to do nothing for these girls. I'm good. So I don't progress as a man. So that's what I'm saying. If you're getting it, if you could get it without being productive, it's like asking another wolf, hey man, don't eat all the sheep. The wolf is gonna be like, I'm gonna eat all the sheep I want. But you're not saving any sheep for us.
It's not the same analogy. It's not the same analogy. No, it's not the same. But it's cool. You try it. Listen, this is the thing, right? And I love you. You my dude, right?
It's the same.
But if we're talking about, we're trying to teach our sons, right? If we're trying to teach our sons to be of high value, high quality dudes, we cannot say you have boundaries for other people, but not for yourself. That is not what a man does. A man creates boundaries for himself, and he also creates boundaries for others. That's what a real leader does. And so if he's not operating from a position of having high moral standards, then he's less of a dude.
Yeah, that factors into the protection part of.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
You can't, because I'm right.
God. But you're not even listening.
Remember,
bro.
that's humble.
You're not even listening.
Prototype.
I'm not saying you're wrong. On our standards, there's plenty of dudes that I know are terrible dudes. But women still will pick that dude.
I agree. That's why. Go ahead.
Prototype. Go ahead. My fault.
No. Go ahead, Rob.
No, I'm quick, man. Prototype, to your point. I get what you're saying about the high school dude that didn't progress because he got everything he wanted at an early age. Didn't even really have to work for it. And I think a part of, or another analogy that I've heard similar to that was like when Eric Thomas was talking about when the gazelles are being chased by the lion. You just don't have the goal is sometimes for some men, unfortunately, is just not to be the slowest gazelle. As long as I'm not the slowest gazelle, but if I got one behind me, that's the one that the lion is going to get. So unfortunately, there is a group of men who stop excelling, don't feel like they have to excel, and they have substandard standards in adulthood. And I think that contributes to the type of man that they are, the producer in society that they are, the type of women that they have around them. Those people do exist. And I'm just, to Prototype's point to a certain degree, I'm just, not encouraging, I'm acknowledging that they do exist, unfortunately, because sometimes you just got to be faster than the slowest gazelle.
All right, we'll end it on you lost in translation unless somebody else has something.
Thank you. I wanted to talk about what Miss Taken said a minute ago. She said a man has to have confidence, even if he doesn't have it. I would love for that to be the truth, but that's not the truth. Confidence has to be earned through experience. You cannot fake that. You can walk around with your shoulders back or whatever, but if you've never had practical application, that means nothing. Because the minute that facade falls down, you're going to feel like you're robbed. You're like, you lied to me. You know what I'm saying? I'll give you an example, man. Instead of telling men what they need to be doing, we need to go back to the problem, which is how women evaluate men. And I'll give you an example. Well, my grandparents were married. They were married very, very young. Okay. And what happened was my grandmother saw the man that my grandfather was becoming over time. So she knew exactly what went into making of that man. So she had more reverence for him because she knew what he experienced. She knew what he went through. She knew what type of man that she had because she put in what she wanted to put in. The problem with these days that women want to get a finished product, but they don't know what went into making it. They don't have the same level of respect for it because they don't know what went into making of that man. Now, I'll assure you this way. I'll give you another example. Say, for instance, all of us have computers, right? But none of us saw how it was built. But I assure you, if you saw what went into making of these computers, you would probably have more respect for it. Well, the problem is today is that most people don't go into relationships seeing what goes into making of that particular man or that particular woman. We want to leverage our traumas to elicit, some type of what did we call it yesterday? We had our show. We had inspiration, manipulation. We want to manipulate somebody into giving us something versus inspiring them and saying, hey, look, you can do this and put the ingredients in yourself. See, the problem is y'all want a man to be faithful, but you didn't put anything in it for him to be faithful. Now, I assure you, most men, if you came into the game with the same level of enthusiasm you saw what went into making him, there's no doubt he's going to be with you because you're going to be there from the beginning. And what happens is most women don't understand that. And that is the education that we need to start talking to the women. The men already have the instructions. We bark at men all day long. The world tells men what they have to do. But my thing is this, we have to re-educate the women and say, hey, look, this is what you look for in a man. And this is the reason why. And once you apply that, I assure you, the society will fix itself. In the 60s, we had way more families together because those women knew what went into making of those men. But today, with social media and everything else, you don't know what goes into this man. You don't know what he's been listening to. You don't know who he's been influenced by. You don't know what he's been because you didn't ask. And that's the problem. Learn to ask the questions. I always tell all my friends, ask the question why. Why will reveal everything you need to know about the man that you're looking at. Keep asking questions. Keep asking questions. Humble Dad, that's all I got, man. Thank you, folks.
What's up? Absolutely.
I can say one thing, and I promise I'm
no
done.
worries.
I agree with what Lost in Translation was saying, but and there's a caveat to that which you actually spoke to before. Like on the one end, you can say that women need to know what they can put into a man. But one of the themes that I keep hearing, especially in these YouTube spaces, and I heard it tonight, and Humble Dad, you were trying to correct it, is a lot of times y'all are looking to the women to make you a man.
Oh, no, that's not it.
But no, hold on. And what I mean by that, hold on, let me explain. What I mean by that is like when Prototype said, well, she needs to do X, Y, and Z, and then Humble Dad said, no, that says more about you as a man than it does about her. So it kind of looks like a lot of times y'all are looking for us to move a certain way so you can correct your own behavior, so you can move in a way that you need to. What I'm saying is those things need to be established prior to, and that will also help you select better, because a lot of times women move the way that they do in hopes of having access to a certain type of man. So if you are the leader or if you're the lead, then my thing is you have to move a certain way. We adjust our behavior around y'all. So when you see all of these women talk about, yeah, like when guys are like, my girlfriend have a girlfriend. You never heard of women back in a day that was even getting down like that. And if they did, they were seen as the outcast. Like nobody really wasn't messing with them. But now that men are saying, these are the things that I want my girl to be, have a girlfriend or whatever. Now you see all of these women that sleep with girls or having threesomes and all of that. Women move the way that they think men want them to move. So if you want a quality woman, that's kind of what Humble Dad was saying. You got to kind of move with a quality mindset, because women will adjust. They will, because they want you. They will adjust to the things that they think you want because they want to win. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, those dudes. Yeah, the adjustment will. Like I can concur, but that's the challenge. I think that it's twofold, right? Because when I'm telling women that they need to change, they also are on the defense of that they don't really need to change. It's the men that need to change, right? And so I do agree, though, that a high quality type dude, such as myself, my homie Dewayne, Prototype, Robert, Lost in Translation, if we set the standard, we get to be selective and we get to choose from those at the top of the chain, is what I'm saying. Right.
Humble Dad, thank you, man. I just wanted to say the point at this point. Ms. Taken, the sophistry that you used to prove your point was beautiful. I just want to say thank you. But that is the problem that we have in our communities. What we want to do is we want to leverage imaginary stories to prove a point when the point was never proven. What I was saying is that you would value a man if you rolled up your sleeves and worked with him. That's what I said. That's what I said.
For sure. I said that too. I said, women, if you can find a dude that's on his way. Yeah, she agreed with that for sure. Women need to find a man that's on his way to getting to where he needs to be, and not just trying to say, okay, I'm gonna wait at the finish line and then you pick me up on your way to your next destination. You know what I'm saying? It's been dope. Hey, make sure you check out Ash on IG. You know what I'm saying? 360 Diva. We had the Pentecostal session today, but it was really good. Lost in Translation, you can find them all over YouTube streets. Make sure you go check them out. Mistakens, they have a show on Friday nights on Lapeef Network. I believe that's 8. Is that 8 or is it 7?
More like 10.
Okay, more like whenever they get a chance to get.
That's really what it sounds like.
But they have really good conversation for sure, from a woman's perspective. Then Dewayne, he's making sure that he takes good photographs. So check him out, Dewayne Jones Photography. And then Prototype, he's always doing this thing on Tuesday evenings at 8 Eastern. No, it's 9 Eastern. I always say it wrong like every time too. At least I'm consistent like Dewayne, right? And then Robert, give me a second. Make sure you check him out as well. His platform is blowing up on IG, and you on YouTube as well. Is that right? All right, so check him out. I really appreciate y'all time. I want to get y'all out, and until next time, we out here. Deuces.
The boy is dangerous.
Bad feeling about this.
You don't seem to understand something.
The thing that I like most about being a dad is that I see that I'm about to impact the world.